Okay, we're in. Okay, we're good. Thank you. See
Call to order. Good evening.
Thank you. Yeah.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you.
Justice for all. Borough Manager, can we do roll call, please?
Council Vice President Bernice Dickerson.
Present.
Counselor Doug Eager is absent. Counselor Beth Ann Johnson.
Present.
Counselor Michelle Miller.
Here.
Council President Shante Miller.
Present.
Counselor Michelle Roberts.
Present.
Counselor Walter Stubbs.
Here.
I believe the mayor is absent this evening.
Mr. Egar is gone with a excused absence. Correct?
Moving on to announcements here, it says council met in an executive session on Saturday, March 23rd, 2024 at 11 a.m. to discuss personnel issues. I'm not aware of this executive session. I wasn't present for an executive session. We were here for the meet and greet, so I guess I'll ask Counselor Michelle Roberts, were you present for an executive session?
No, I wasn't. I was in attendance for the meet and greet.
Vice President Bernice Dickerson, were you present for that meeting?
No, meet and greet.
And that's Ann, were you present?
No, I was there for the meet and greet.
Okay, so I'd like to ask Counselor Michelle Miller, were you present for this meeting? And if so, what was, I'm trying to understand the executive session.
We were to have a meet and greet at noon, and when I came back to the building after leaving about 11:45 and came back, council was sitting in a circle discussing personnel matters.
I didn't hear it.
So that is a,
Personnel matters?
That was not true, but go ahead, Michelle.
oh, okay, well, I guess I misunderstood everything that was being discussed.
Yes, you were. In fact, we had Chris come in. He was the only resident that came in for the meet and greet. And then there was another young lady who was here.
In
And
the
I think
council
that was
room,
here with William Stewart and then you, because you kept going in and out with her. So there was no executive session and we were not discussing personnel issues.
we were
We were
discussing,
talking about getting here. We talked about families. We talked about what we were doing. We talked about nobody's coming in. Miss Lisa, we all sat in there because they were trying to get this room ready for the Rice family. So we weren't messing up our tables. We weren't to come out yet. That's what happened. So I think you need to get your facts right, Michelle.
I was,
And
in-
if there wasn't a second session or you thought we were, I'm sorry, I wasn't gonna say anything. I think you should have been, as a former council member from past on, should have said, wait a minute, guys, if this has happened, we can't do this. So there was no executive session.
well, and no matter what I would say, I would get yelled at, but
No,
the
you
matters
did not.
were,
If it was true, you-
matters were discussed.
You
that
need to
should not,
stop your underhanded stuff.
matters were
That's-
discussed.
And I'm saying, you went behind our back, you went and said something that did not happen. You thought we wouldn't find out about it. We know everything you do. Either work with the borough council or go against it. Resign.
We have
Resign.
we have been literally dealing with issues
Yeah.
since we've been sworn in, literally. Nobody, you don't know that. And how dare you? You don't know that.
Now, we're
Listen,
not gonna go.
yeah, we're not
Okay.
doing that.
Let me
Fact
speak.
is,
Okay,
If-
go ahead.
if
Bernice.
I-
Bernice.
before, you guys, I found so many things that is ridiculous. Just
Okay.
like, and I want to tell it, because I wasn't. You bought a computer for the previous manager that you let her keep. That is on the borough records. These are the things we're finding out. There's other things. Mario, shut it. Mario, I'm speaking to everybody, because the
you're
residents
talking.
need to know. You're the one going back and forth. You're the one going back and forth. So
all
let's
right.
look at our history. So we need to do what
Yeah.
needs to be done. That's
Can-
all we're saying.
That's
Michelle, work with us or
And-
stop.
Hold on.
Right.
Go ahead, Shel.
That's it.
And let me speak.
No.
I think
No.
I've had the longest tenure of any of my council members here.
No, we have to-
And I do have to say that we were here for a meet and greet. We were waiting in the room. And in our discussion, we discussed if we were getting our emails. Okay, that was the thing that I know that
was
we
the
were,
only thing
all the
discussed.
things discussing about, were about our emails. And once again, Michelle, out of respect for you, you have been a council president for 2 years, okay? And the fact of the matter is, if you're working with everybody in agreement, you should, if you've seen a problem, you should have spoke then. You don't leave here and then go talk somewhere else.
Well, we should never have.
No, you
we
should
have-
not do that.
Speaking of
And you
it, we
need
have
to,
address
you
that.
need
I
to
know you wanna
resolve
talk.
yourself from acting in that way. Like I said, I think we're all mature enough to know how to talk to one another and be respectful.
Absolutely, and as has been discussed before new council, during the last several years, we have Sunshine Act that we have to follow. No more than 4 at a time may be discussing anything. During some of the discussion, some of the things that were discussed Saturday afternoon had to do with timesheets.
Which was
With
discussed at the
various
previous council
people.
meeting.
May I finish,
It was
please?
discussed at
Excuse
the
me,
previous
excuse
meeting.
me.
Again, it
Excuse me.
said, everybody fill out time sheets.
And
You're upset, I said Borough Council's gonna fill one out too. That's it. That's
And-
all I'm saying.
there was some hiring things discussed, there were some other things, and that is violation of Sunshine Act. And so that meeting certain things should not have been discussed unless broken up into groups. And so now everybody knows.
And once
That's how
again,
Sunshine Act
Michelle,
works.
why did you, if you heard all that conversation, why did you not interject?
Mhm.
Why did you not
Because it
interject?
would have been the same
And
thing.
no, like I just said, I don't think so. A lot of it too has to be, I think you have to be mature enough to say, okay, let me accept that I lost. Like I said, if
It
you,
has
if,
nothing to do with
well,
that. It
I
has to
think
go
you
with
need to
following
move
the
on from
rules.
some things and stop holding things tit for tat. I
Tit
think
for tat
you,
with the
as a
Sunshine
council,
Act.
like I said, a president is supposed to lead by example.
Amen.
Well, exactly.
Lead
So-
by
so we should
example.
not have
Lead by
violations.
example.
We should not have
And
violations
we're
of the
gonna go
Sunshine
on.
Act.
We
happening.
wanna do this in
We-
front of our chief.
We are going
Yes.
to move on because
Yes.
we do have our children in here, but transparency
Stop.
is something that we owe the residents. And we are being, and not by everyone, mind you, it's like 3 people, like seriously harassed, and we haven't been here. We started, this is our 7th meeting? You haven't even given us a chance to do anything, although we're doing a lot, and it will show. But if we can't get along as a council because of one person, then we have an issue.
One person.
And yeah, just stop
Keep
on it, cause thanks, we'll move on.
Yes, thank you.
I want you to come every time, trust me. All right, we're moving on to presentations, recognition of the teens for positive empowerment for organizing the William E. Wright Street renaming event. We'll have our teens come in.
Hey,
You don't even show up for those things, but you got all that. Oh, you don't have all the stuff. You want to- Please, you know. No. Y'all did such a great job.
Democracy is messy, but it's the best system we have. Don't be afraid of it. Sometimes this is the way it works.
Mhm.
God bless you.
Yeah, thank you all for your.
Very strong.
Yes.
All right, so
We wanted to thank them.
Amen.
Oh, sorry.
I wanna give this to you guys. You guys did a phenomenal job, by the way.
Yes, you
Thank
did.
you. It's a shame everybody couldn't make it out
Mhm.
for that event. But you guys did a great job, so I just want to give this to you. This is for you, and it has our signatures on it.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question? Since we meet here, can we hang it up here?
Mhm.
So that they can see it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
And Gina, thank you.
We wanted to thank the
Thank you.
Borough Council for everything that you guys provided, as well as Mr. Stewart. We have a shirt for you.
Yes.
And I would just like to thank the Borough Council for all your support. And the reason why I took them out because they,
Right.
okay.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely,
um,
absolutely.
We apologize.
One
Yes,
day
we
they
do
will,
apologize,
one day
but-
they will see, how
Yes.
government is ran.
Mhm.
And we're just taking baby steps right now. We did meet with Jennifer O'Mara the week before the ceremony to learn about bills and how they're passed and things like that. But I just want to thank you so much for all of your help that you gave the teams. And thank you for allowing us to use this as our meeting.
Yep.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay, I'm just gonna leave this right over here.
Thank you.
Somebody can hang it up.
You're welcome. We're gonna move on to public comment.
On agenda items, Margaret, send me the first person.
Marion Samita, 46 South Morton Avenue. I have a comment as a resident and then comment on behalf of the Civil Service Commission that was from prior discussion. On the SEPTA issue and the traffic light malfunction, we've seen this week, we ignore infrastructure at our own peril. So it seems that there's been further determinations made. My question is, have we determined whether it's SEPTA and or their contractor who was responsible for the cause of the malfunction? And if so, are we gonna make sure the taxpayers of Morton aren't ending up paying what's probably gonna end up being at least a 5-figure, significant fix if we have to dig things up and replace things. I don't want to hear that SEPTA, is hard to deal with, so we're just gonna make the taxpayer pay.
Madam President, we have been in contact with SEPTA. SEPTA has acknowledged that it is very much probable that the signal issues that we're experiencing, especially with the left turn arrow when the gates come down, is associated with the fact that they did hit a wire while they were doing the tracked crossings last summer. The other part of the story is that this signal is extremely old. So just fixing the wire, although we would be able to get the signal completely operational, we also have gone through what I call we've exceeded the useful service life of this signal. So with that being said, is that if we are going to get money from SEPTA, we're also having Catania give us a cost estimate on what it would cost to reconstruct the entire signal system, upgrading the software, and what grant opportunities are available. So with that being said, the burden of all of the cost does not fall on the taxpayers. However, in this particular case, I don't think we would be able to tell SEPTA that they are 100% at fault to replace the entire signal. You know, we're gonna rely on the experts that we have on staff. We've got a meeting coming up with SEPTA. Catania Engineering is involved. Signal Services, who does all of our signal work, is involved. So we've got the right players that are gonna be at the meeting. And once we have that meeting, we could probably give a better answer on exactly which direction we feel we need to go. Can we just fix the wire, or do we need to replace the whole thing? So I'm sorry that I could not give Mr. Semino a complete answer this evening on exactly what it's gonna take. We are still in the discovery phase.
No, full credit where it's due. It sounds like council is being well advised by the engineer and borough manager and the solicitor on this, that, you know, we're not gonna accept to get anything over us, and we're probably gonna have hopefully have a win-win.
Your time's up. Do you want to save what you have and you,
Well,
and when you come back?
Half of my time, but also I'm asking for a separate time on civil service. So as far as my time,
Like
As far-
another minute, yeah.
all right, as far as my personal time, I would just implore council to read the borough code,
Thank you.
read the Sunshine Law, read the Open Records Act, consult with your solicitor, and because nothing that is being complained about here is not within the borough code. There were folks that are here tonight that made scurrilous, unfounded, you know, comments over the past several years. These comments are founded on very legitimate facts. If you accidentally went into an executive session without knowing what you did, if you discussed personnel matters, then admit it was a rookie mistake. So I'll leave that there. On civil service, I see that civil service will be convened to consider the hiring of a sergeant. I just want to make sure that, as we did at our previous meeting, upon the request, as is civil services prerogative under the borough code, to have a professional consultant present to advise us on this process, that we will continue to have access to that consultant as council did in the selection of the chief.
Thank you for your time.
This is a question that the Civil Service Commission is asking borough council. Will we get an answer? I'm asking on behalf of the Civil Service Commission.
Well, Mario, they're very early in this process, and I'll address that with them and get you an answer.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Hefner?
Bill Hefner, 571 South Old Middletown Road, media PO 19063. I have several properties here in Morton. I do have a question regarding the sergeant, question that was in the agenda. Are we hiring a new sergeant, or are we expanding the police force? Because right now we have me, and I believe is the acting sergeant.
We can't have an acting forever. And this, you know, ultimately, the civil service regulations of the Borough Code require that promotional hires be done through civil service, which would require testing, and council has no idea who's going to pass that test. So ultimately, and what the ranks are going to be. So ultimately, we'll initiate the process, and if there's someone who is qualified and comes out of the process from the bargaining or from the current bargaining unit, then, you know, that's a possibility.
So they're going to test any officer that we have on the force now who wants to get promoted to acting.
So there's certain
sergeant, or is
parameters.
that from outside also.
And just like I said to Mr. Semino, we're very early in this process, but the rules set forth the qualifications for who can apply. And ultimately, I think the first step will be identifying and clarifying those rules, which, you know, they've already mostly done, but ultimately, there's an opportunity for potentially for one of the officers who's already in the unit to be promoted to that, although the rules allow for people who are outside of the department to also apply.
So technically, we could, let's say nobody wants to work in our current police force, so we will hire from outside. So now we will add another officer to the payroll. Is that correct?
That is a potential outcome, but that, you know, ultimately, that's something that council will have to consider when they know what the applications are and what the results of the tests.
Okay, I also have one more question from last week. But I was last, I didn't get all my answers. When is the next budget committee meeting?
There is no budget committee, there's a finance and administration in, I think,
Well,
When you look at your agenda, it's in May.
When is the next finance?
it's in May. You have, it's May, right, if I'm not mistaken, it should be.
That's correct. I believe it's the second Thursday of
Thursday.
May.
In May.
Thank you very much.
Highway.
Madam President, just as a point of clarity before you ask Ms. Hodnet or you yield the floor to Ms. Hodnet, I just wanted to correct one part of Mr. Hefner's statement. At current time, and this is an agreement internally with the police department, both Officer Kelly and Officer McGrady are sharing the sergeant's position. By contract, the sergeant's position is 10% above base pay, and with an agreement among those two officers and the chief, until the testing process concludes, they will share 5%, until we do the test.
Highland, 200 block of Walnut. I just had a question. Last week I had to leave and I was online, and I noticed Doug isn't here this evening, and I just wanted to know if council can have a process to make sure if you're online, because I was typing in questions that never got answered, if there could just be a process for somebody to monitor the chat, so that if you're not here or online and you do have a question either for agenda or open discussion, that somebody can answer that during that time. That was my question.
Yeah. All right, moving on to our committee reports. First, we have public facilities and infrastructure, Council Beth Ann M. Johnson.
Thank you. Well, tonight we do have three motions that we'll be doing. So the first one will be the ARPA Small Water and Sewer Grant, which is authorize Catania with permission to prepare contract documents. The second one would be the county need resolution, review and approve. And my understanding is it's $2,700.
That's correct. The
Okay.
Morton Borough's share of the county allotment is $2,700 this year.
Okay. The third one is the 2024 road program, Morton and Rutledge, to review bids and approve the award. Mario asked a question regarding the signal issues, so that was taken care of. That's all that I have for this evening.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Finance and Administration, Council Vice President Bernice Clark Dickerson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, all I have today is we're gonna talk about reminding you guys that our discount period ends for local real estate on 3/31/24. It says 23 on the agenda, but it's 24. So get in if you want to still be a part of that discount. We have the RFP for our banking service. The proposals are all due by April the 5th. 24. So we're still waiting for everything to get in before we start reviewing and everything. Then our full-time public work assistant, facilities, resumes, and schedule for interviews is starting to begin. We're all due by the end of last week. So now let's start to review what we have. And what's not on the agenda, I just want to add in there too. Again, as I said before, everybody's before I do the time sheet, and that I ask, and as I said, everybody in the Borough Council as well, because when we go after grants, we have to show income to leverage money sometimes. So we want to make sure we have all the information that's there and statistics we need when we do go after grants. So we're not just haphazardly looking at numbers. Thank you. Thank you.
Madam President, just add two things to Ms. Dickerson's report with the RFP for the banking services. We did have a short list of 8 financial institutions that we sent out. I've heard from most of the financial institutions that they are in the process of working on preparing the proposal. 2 institutions that I just want to let council know is both Sharon Bank as well as Citizens Bank has sent me emails saying that they are no longer writing municipal accounts. So both of those institutions have withdrawn from consideration.
Just a quick question I have for Ms. Dickerson, and in regards to the Public Works, as far as reviewing the resumes and the schedule, I just want to make sure, is everyone in council going to be invited for interviews, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Dickerson, do you want to set a date of when you would want to start these interviews? We received a total of 7 applications. The primary vetting or the preliminary vetting of those applications is at the advice of the consultant that we hired to look at things. He would recommend that we would exclude 2 of those just because he felt they were not qualified. But he has vetted the rest of the candidates, is willing to reach out, make phone calls, set up the meeting, and also prepare some sample questions on behalf of council to ask these candidates so that we're able to get the best candidates. So if you wanted to give me some dates of when you think council would be available, I can start the legwork of making sure the candidates, number 1, don't schedule a vacation.
Right.
And number 2, that the consultant can meet our deadline with preparing some questions for your consideration.
Yes, we were looking at, within the next 2 weeks, that we're gonna be looking at dates, so we're gonna ask council if they can keep it open based on everybody else. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And he's, moving on to public safety. Myself.
Yeah, Madam President, as Mr. Semino did a wonderful job of kind of teeing this report up for us. The Civil Service Commission is tasked with the responsibility of administering the testing process for the promotion of the sergeant's position. So with that being said, this evening, I would ask that council takes formal action to basically charge the Civil Service Commission with the responsibility of setting up a meeting so that they can discuss the first steps of the process for getting the promotional interviews done. At this time, considering that the 2 incumbent officers are sharing the 5%, I don't foresee any pushback from the FOP. However, Solicitor Ewald would advise council, I believe that once there is a vacancy, we have 60 days, 90 days to fill the vacancy, 120 days to fill the vacancy. So just wanted to keep that in mind for looking at the finish line.
Ultimately, you have a new chief of police who's been on the job for coming on 2 months now. And I think the first step probably should be that he sits down with the Civil Service Commission and provides his feedback on what he thinks is necessary and what will help the department grow.
Can we identify the candidates that are on the Civil Service Commission? Names.
It's Carlton Bagby, Mario Semino, and Haile Hodna. Is there any, there's one alternate too? Is that, who am I forgetting?
Mr. O'Donnell, but I don't remember whether he
Oh, okay.
resigned
Yeah.
or not.
Solicitor Ewald, Madam President, I don't believe you would need to take action this evening, but I believe the Civil Service Commission could consist up to 5 members of the commission. So it would be 3 voting members, 2 alternates. And of those 5 members, if it's the desire of council, you would be able to appoint a liaison who sits on council to serve on the commission, very similar to what Ms. Hodnett did while she served last year.
So it's a little bit complicated because you have a full 3 people on the commission. And for some reason, I can't understand the borough code's written in a way that an alternate is not permitted to be a person of, who's a borough council member. It makes no sense to me that a full member can be, but an alternate can't, but for some reason, that's the way it's written in the borough code. So you could, you have an additional alternate position that you could fill, but it can't be a council person.
I hesitate to debate, but it's my understanding that commissions basically organize themselves. So at any time as in commission, very similar to council, whereas if you have 5 members, those 5 members get in a room and those 5 members decide who is going to be the chair, who's going to be the secretary, who's going to be the third voting member, or is that not the procedure that's followed?
No, borough council appoints 3 members and borough council appoints 2 alternates.
Do you have anything from the fire?
No, nothing to report from the fire company. They are on duty assignment this evening. That's why there's not a representative from the fire company here.
Thank you. Moving on to public health, sanitation and recycling, Council Michelle Roberts.
Good evening, everyone. On the agenda tonight is the composting program offered by the Pennsylvania Resource Council in cooperation with EDCSC. Date to be determined. Borough manager, have we had any date yet offered? Okay.
She called, Carol Butler, April 30th. I think that's Tuesday, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Be here and discuss it on it.
Is it 6:30 to 7:30 or?
I think it's 6 to 7:30, but
Okay.
I'll double check. and make sure.
That's the Eastern Delaware County Stormwater Collaborative. That's what those initials are.
Mhm. And this is open to the public, correct?
Correct.
Okay, all right. So if you're interested, here's your opportunity.
Is it this?
April 30th.
Oh, April
Yeah,
30th.
April 30th.
As part of that program, they do give away a free composting kit. A little bit more upscale than the kit that we gave away, which consisted of a 5-gallon bucket and a lid. Their kit is more geared towards the whole turning the barrel and making the compost a lot faster than the simple kit that we provided a few months ago when we decided to go back to a curbside recycling. So that's the first point. And the second point is that Charles Catania and I are in the process of developing a grant opportunity to revitalize Jacobs Park. Very similar to Councilor Stubbs, if you remember what we did a year and a half, 2 years ago, where we are replacing the picnic tables. We'll be replacing the grills. We'll be requesting a pavilion. We will be looking to resurface the basketball court with a rubberized surface. We will be looking to put the rubberized matting in around the playground equipment in lieu of the mulch. Yes. We're also finishing up with a community garden and a composting area. So
Awesome.
Mhm.
nothing is final,
Right.
but I just wanted to kind of bring to your attention and Counselor Stubbs, this grant is gonna be due on the 3rd of April. So we will be available to roll the plan out and discuss it in great detail during your committee meeting on the 1st. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I yield back my time respectfully.
All right. I'm moving on to law and ordinance, Council Michelle Miller.
All righty, folks, the 2 parking issues that are listed for Country Lane and Silver Lake, seeing that we don't have a police representative here. I'm not sure what there is exactly to discuss on there. Mrs. God, do you have something on Country Lane?
Yes.
But if you want to make a statement about it.
Jacqueline Guy, 635 Country Lane. I did speak to my postal carrier. So what he told me was, regardless of where the mailboxes are, he can still walk the route. He just doesn't want to walk the route because it'll be faster and then they'll give him more work to do. But he can walk that route already the way it is. So I talked to him like Saturday and I didn't get a chance to let anybody know. So that's the latest from, what I got from my post.
Unfortunately, his boss, that's not what his boss said.
Well, no, so he said that he had worked out something with the old boss, with the old
Postmaster?
Yeah,
Mhm.
so anyway, that's what he told me, and I don't know what you got from the postmaster,
Mhm.
but when I talked to him, he said, yeah, he could walk it. If there's no law that says he can't.
Okay, well, we'll have to get other people involved.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Interesting. Maybe that will just take care of all our problem. As far as number 3, the dog ordinance, we have a draft here that's in the package that Mr. Ewald put together. This all seems to cover it'd be section 2-103 in our ordinances. It seems to cover everything that we are concerned about. And so what I'd like to see tonight is if we could put this on as if we can vote on it later to provide the solicitor permission to advertise this ordinance as is necessary by our rules and regulations. No one has any further questions about it, or if anybody has any comments about what it says, now would be the time.
The second to last page.
To bring that up, because technically we don't have a leash law for dogs being on the street.
This is an issue that was brought up by your chief and requested by your chief, so we tried to make a simple change to the ordinance to bring the chief's feedback into consideration. If you have any recommendations or changes, we're happy to hear them. But if you're satisfied with it, we're ready to advertise it for approval in April.
And unless anyone else has anything to say, that's all that I have. Thank you.
Council Miller, one quick thing is.
Yes, sir.
With the parking on Silver Lake Terrace, and I know this is a concern to the residents that live there as well as the employees that work.
A
at the
Wawa.
Wawa. At this time, there's a moratorium on issuing any parking tickets.
Correct.
So the chief is working with the Wawa and working with the residents of the condo association before we were to take any action of giving somebody a $15 ticket.
Correct. Thank you for reminding us.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to community and economic development. Doug is not here. Mr. Stewart, you're free to report.
I promise to be brief.
Yeah.
The comprehensive plan and zoning ordinance, Bergman or Colliers as they are now called. They are looking to deliver a final report. I was hoping to have it in April. Mr. Semino had advised me that it's going to be a little longer than that. So I left it open-ended as being spring. As the council was aware, and Ms. Miller, you may have to remind me of the dollar value. But I believe this work was done through a community development block grant with awarded by Delaware County probably 2 years ago. I believe it was about $75,000. So we're trying to get Bergman to finish that up so that we're able to close that grant out, receive reimbursement from Delaware County for that work. Bergman, also known as Colliers Engineering. I got confirmation this afternoon that they did submit on our behalf a transit-oriented development or TOD through the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission. That was entitled a Morton Train Station TOD Feasibility Study. I believe that grant was submitted in the neighborhood of about $100,000. Again, this is just a planning grant so that we would be able to enhance the facilities around the train station. In essence, that would keep SEPTA on the radar of making sure that, you know, as they continue to look at the viability of certain stations on the regional rail line, that Morton would, for lack of a better term, stay off the radar, stay off the chopping block, because we're looking to make sure that we're creating that rail station as a destination here in the municipality. Lastly, at last meeting, council took action to award the development of our website to Content and Creativity. I continue to work with Sarah and Rhonda to provide them information. One thing they are looking for is if Borough Council can provide a very brief bio about yourselves. They would include that on the government page for getting to meet your counselor. So it would be a photograph of the counselor, your contact information, as well as the short bio of what your background is. And with that, I conclude.
No clarification on the timeline. I'm just a messenger on that. I don't want to be blamed for that. I don't want to, whatever else I'm purportedly being blamed.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation Counselor, Walter yourselves.
Good evening, God bless.
Good evening.
I want to thank my brother Stewart for his excellent work handling the grants and all that. And the park over here, Sycamore Avenue, it looks good.
Better.
Okay. Feel like that. And the Park and Recreation, we're trying to build the safety and build this community affairs to utilize these parks and utilize the gym. The weather has been kind of uncontrollable, so there's a lot of things that we can't do outside. So my mind is set on utilizing the gymnasium inside. And I want to put out there a chess team, teaching kids how to play chess in the gymnasium. I'm putting out there, I would love to see a drop down basket. Whereas we can teach young kids how to dunk the ball when they're young. So as they grow older, they will be able to jam the ball. I'm reaching out not for 24, but maybe the end of 24 to 25. There will be an opportunity that we have a TV screen in there that we might be able to visualize baseball series, basketball series, high school events with our young people playing. I'm reaching out to the public. My ideas are this small compared to the ideas I know a lot of you have in your own head. So if you have ideas about how you want your children and your grandchildren to develop the community of Morton for the next 50 years, please bring it forth and let's discuss it. The first Wednesday of next month will be Park and Recreation. You know, I keep reaching out and I keep getting disappointed, but I'm gonna keep and stay reaching out. Because I know there's a lot of brilliant minds, there's a lot of brilliant people in this community. And I know they love their grandkids, and I know they love their children, and they want to have that kind of events for them. So I'm reaching out again to the public. Mr. Stewart, thank you, as always. Madam President, I'm done.
Thank you. The mayor is not in attendance tonight, so we're gonna move on to the manager's report.
I'll yield my time in the interest of keeping the meeting moving.
Alright. So we're gonna move on to action items. Do I have a motion to approve providing authorization for a Catania engineer to prepare contract documents for the ARPA PA Small Water and Sewer Grant?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2024-2025 county aid?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to approve the award of the 2024 road program, Morton and Rutledge?
To whom?
Innovation. construction.
Okay.
Yeah, Madam President,
put that
before
in.
you take the call for action is that
Yeah, I mean,
the Tanya Engineering had received
Is it the
Uh,
innovative
bids.
construction services?
for the road program. I have a letter here from Catania Engineering dated March the 22nd, 2024, which reads, find the bid tabulations and cost breakdowns by town, and that would be for Morton Borough and for Rutledge, since this is combined. For the above referenced project, 4 bids were received, and Catania Engineering is recommending award of the contract to Innovative Construction Services at the low bid amount of $450,133.75. Now, before everybody gets sticker shock, that's a combined bid for both Morton and
Rutledge.
Rutledge. So Morton's share,
Right.
based on the bid, would be, I have that information here, $300,278.50.
And don't we have money
Now,
towards
where we
that?
are currently
Right.
right now is we have approximately $150,000 of liquid fuel. We have another 75,000 of liquid fuel that we anticipate coming this year, which, if my temple math is correct, takes us to 2.25. And then we have
255.
and 2,700 coming from county aid, because we did not have a road program last year.
Right.
So we could take both the 2023 and 2024 county aid, so add another 5,400. So all said and done, it looks as if the cost outlay to the municipality is gonna be about $65,000. Now, of that money is that we had 250,000 coming from Aqua.
Thank you.
So therefore, the 250,000 minus 60 means that the Aqua contribution is gonna be an unbudgeted revenue of about 190,000.
Okay. Okay,
Mr. Hefner, check my math.
all right,
I'm
so,
well in the head.
Bill, are you familiar with, this construction company? Because I don't think the boroughs used them before. We've
Never.
used Damon before.
I am not familiar with the construction company, however, Catania Engineering has used them on multiple projects
Okay.
through the other municipalities that they oversee. That being said, understanding that the road conditions, especially in North Morton and Providence, are not the best. And that we probably, with all of this rain, are gonna continue to see some potholes developing. I did ask Catania to fast track the award of this contract, and he's thinking that we could probably get started at least with the trench restoration sometime in the latter part of April. So
Yeah, their milling cost is substantially less than anybody else's. It's kind of curious. I was curious about that. They're at 48,000, and the next cheaper was 70. If that means anything.
you're gonna make my engineer slip out.
That's what I'm
In a
asking.
previous lifetime, when I was the pavement management coordinator for the Delaware Department of Transportation, I was seeing bids as low as about 75 cents a square yard for the milling operation. So the $1.85 is high, or it's higher than what I've anticipated, but it's much lower than the other competitive bidders. A milling crew, and I'm probably about 5 years ago, a milling crew runs you about $7,500 a day.
Okay,
So considering that they've got 50,000, we can do the math to see how many days they anticipate finishing the project.
thank you.
Okay, so going back to the motion to approve the award of the 2024 road program to the Innovative Construction Services Incorporated at the low bid amount of $450,133.75.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to approve ordering the Civil Service Commission to meet for the purposes of beginning the testing process for the rank of sergeant? All in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to approve providing permission to solicitor to advertise the dog leash ordinance?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2024-2026 authorizing through 2026, authorizing the submission of the DCNR Park and Rehabilitation Development Grant?
Second.
All in favor?
President, before you make a call for action, I just want to make sure the council is crystal clear in the action that they're taking for this resolution. This resolution simply states that, being the borough manager, I have the authority to submit the grant on behalf of council. And then also if council decides to accept the grant, and I emphasize the word if council decides to accept the grant, if it's all fortuitous, that I would have authorization to sign the acceptance of the grant. This is a $250,000 grant with a 50% match. So of that money, we would be looking at $125,000 that we would be putting out of our pocket and getting $250,000 from the DCNR. It sounds as if it's a significant outlay of money. We have it in the coffers if we are fortunate enough to receive this grant. The other thing that we have to look at is the concept of grant stacking. This is state money. So we would potentially be able to use, if Delaware County comes out with, say, Delco Greenways grant round number 5, and we are selected for the DCNR money, we could take that same submission and move it to the county and see if the county would be able to provide us additional funding, and we would be able to use that county money as the borough's match. So I want to make sure that everybody's clear. This is a $250,000 grant. We could potentially have the outlay of $125,000, but we also don't, we're not locked in. We can always say no.
How much of a betting man are you on getting the Greenways grant, round 5?
We got $180,000 on the last round. So, I would think that it would be very well received, because what we're doing with the $180,000 is improvements to both Sycamore and Jacobs. Once the county sees that work in progress, would be able to give us the opportunity to look at stacking other grants.
And if we received the 250 and we decide not to spend it all for some reason, we would match our 125 that percentage less, correct?
That the match number is
What?
50%. So
Yeah.
if it's 200,000, we're out 100,000. If it's 100,000, we're out 50,000.
Yeah, okay.
So certainly, one of the comments, and I participated with Charles, the very first process in this grant submission is that you have to have a meeting with the DCNR coordinator assigned to your region. And basically, you've got to give her a description of what you're trying to do. And her comment was, please make sure that your grant submission is scalable. Meaning that, we're asking for the moon and the stars, but if we have to start scaling down, we can scale down. So, that being said, you just start making decisions. Okay, I'd rather have a play set than have the basketball court resurfaced. So let's pull the basketball court out of the submission. My feeling is if you're gonna let me ask for 325,000, I'm gonna ask for 325,000 and start scaling it back from there. But I just wanted to throw those numbers out at council so that 6 months or 8 months from now, when we win the grant, that, you don't say, I didn't realize it was gonna cost me that much money.
Right. Thank you.
We did do the motion.
Good, I'm good.
So moving on to upcoming meeting, we did, and then
Did we get
we
Yeah.
did.
Motion
but
passed
then it
unanimous.
came in.
sorry, I'll be quicker on the draw. Does
Um,
anybody want to change their mind after what I
Yeah,
said?
does Yeah, all right. Moving on to upcoming meetings and events. April 10th, 2024 at 7 p.m. would be our regular council meeting. And then April 24th, 2024 at 7 p.m. would be our council agenda meeting. We're gonna move on to open discussion. It looks like Mario, you are first.
Madam President, I just want to make sure that Park and Recreation is the first Wednesday. First Wednesday of next month.
I'm sorry, Counselor, 04/01/2024, 7:00 here in Morton Borough Hall will be the Parks and Recreation meeting.
04?
April 1.
Oh, okay,
04/01.
thank you.
Monday?
Yeah, that's.
04/03, I'm sorry.
I was just,
7.
I'm hitting 70, I'll be 70 this year, so I gotta turn my head around a bit.
And Mario, before you make a statement, I just want to say the last day to register the vote is April 8th. Just if anybody needs to be registered or register for the first time, if there's anybody. Okay, I'm sorry.
I'll piggyback on the public services announcement because a lot of 18-year-olds don't realize that even if they aren't 18 on the registration deadline, but they will be 18 on primary day or general election day, they still are eligible to vote in that election.
That's correct.
One thing I forgot to mention on the SEPTA traffic, the seriousness of the SEPTA traffic issue. I was at El Limon, our wonderful Mexican restaurant, eating delicious sope and chimichanga for dinner, and the Swarthmore ambulance was stuck in the queue while 2 trains went by for just under 10 minutes. So unfortunately, not in emergency mode at that moment, but they can get a call at any time. So this is why we've got to get this resolved. You know, it can't be at SEPTA speed. It's got to be at emergency speed. Key bridge speed, as from what they're saying. So the next item, I want to preface this by saying I'm not going to get into any specifics that were in the statement I'm going to refer to, but I want to confirm I had sent a statement to Mr. Stewart that I asked to be distributed to all members of our council and the chief of police regarding recent borough meetings and my prior experiences on council. I want to make sure that that statement's been delivered to all the council members and the chief of police as requested. I had asked for a confirmation of that, but I don't think I've seen an email, any sort of email response. So I just wanted to query whether all council has received that.
So to, echo Ms. Miller's concerns earlier about, making sure that we are careful about not having a quorum of council through communications. The process that I utilize is that I will identify when an inquiry comes in of who the chairperson is for that committee. And then out of courtesy, I also copy in the council president. So in this particular case, Mr. Semino, your email was forwarded to Ms. Dickerson and also Ms. Miller. I'm sorry, President Miller. We did have an opportunity to sit down, discuss with that particular employee their actions, and I believe that the message was well received, and that type of behavior that you referenced is well in the past.
Okay, well, I hope that, is the full extent of, anything affecting borough operations going forward. But I would suggest the past practice had been, and Mr. Ewald had blessed it, that everything was just BCC'd, everything that needed to go to all council members was BCC'd to them, so there was no risk of breaching the sunshine law. Thank you.
Madam President, being hypersensitive of the whole issue of making sure that, there's the flow of information. I believe what you've noticed since you've been in the office, we've instituted that only when I send out agendas and ask for feedback, I only send them to 3 members of council at a time. So the email goes out, 3 members of council, 3 members of council, 1 member of council, 3 separate emails, same exact cut and paste. However, the feedback that I'm getting is independent thinking from whichever council member wants to provide feedback.
And Mr. Lee?
Michael Lee, 123 West Sylvan Avenue, Morton, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, United States of America. Madam President, I'm glad that public comment on agenda items has been restored to its rightful place. It never should have been removed in the first place. Second of all, on the motion, I regret I didn't notice this earlier, but sergeant was misspelled. There's an E before A in sergeant. Now, you might have been thinking of the late ambassador to France, Robert Sergeant Schreiber. That's how he's spelled, that's how he's sergeant without the E. More importantly, I realize you're all new, but eventually the time's gonna come when you have to accept, if you make a mistake, you have to accept the blame yourself. You will not be able to blame it on the past council members or past presidencies, whether it's Mary Samito, Michelle Miller, or anybody else. And I would like to say this in regard to Mrs. Miller. She does not need me to defend her. She's perfectly capable of doing that herself. After all, as my mother and my younger sister Dawn used to tell me, dynamite comes in small packages. But that being said, in all the 9 years, the better part of 9 years, I've been coming to these meetings. At all times, Mrs. Miller has conducted herself in a dignified, ethical, and honorable manner. You don't like what I said, that's your problem. You've got the right to respond. Let me finish.
Okay.
Let me finish. And that's something else I'm gonna say right now. Whoever is on council, when he or she is speaking, at least have enough courtesy to let the individual finish and then you can respond. Nothing irritates me more when somebody interrupts, it interrupts me.
Too bad.
Well, if you don't like what I said, feel free to hire a Robert Ford or another Lee Harvey Oswald if you want.
I don't like to go back and forth with older people, so just go ahead.
Yeah, I'm still trying to wrap my head some of the things that's been going around a few months, but as I said, you don't like to and this just proves something else. I'm gonna finish with this. I wasn't gonna say this, but I can't help it. I get the feeling that some of you in here and on the council, if you could possibly pull it off, you would execute Mrs. Miller tonight for witchcraft if you could pull it off. And I'm not saying, I think you would do that. I really believe you would do that. So on that note, I'm finished. And in the words of the late President Lyndon B. Johnson, thank you for listening. Good night. May God bless you all.
Thank you.
No, after, one small question I have is, after you do a vote, can you ask if there's any objections? Because this time you didn't do it on any of them, just in case, because I couldn't hear everything of what's going on. That's the way it used to be done. You know, so you say all in favor, say aye, any opposed, that was missing. That's just a small question. In regards to finance administration on the second Thursday of the month at 7 o'clock at the Borough Hall, correct?
Yes,
And then have we received any 990s from the fire company?
they're not required to give us 990s. They're all required to give us an annual statement of the funding they receive from this borough, only on accounting on the money that this borough gives them. That's what they're required to do. That's
Well, when
the
they-
code for the state.
Then, so they can ask for money and we give it to them as opposed to see whether income they have doesn't
They're only
matter.
required to account for the money that the borough gives them. So all accounting has to be on the funding that we actually give them. That's what they have to give us.
So
and they have
then
to
when
do
they
it
request
annually.
funding, we don't have to necessarily give them all the money then.
I didn't say that again.
When they request funding, let's say it's $100,000, the borough council can decide to give them less than 100,000 if we wish.
Whatever the borough vote on to give them, that's what they're gonna be getting, the council votes.
Okay,
So it's whatever the funding they're getting from this council, that's what they're accounting for.
okay, so then they are going to get whatever the funding was from last year.
Yes, that's what the borough voted on to give them.
Thank you.
No, that's wrong. They're public documents.
Pardon.
Those 990s are public documents, not
They
just.
are tax documents, correct?
They're published. They're to be made public. They're not.
But they're only required for this borough to report on what they're getting from us. Anything in the 990, that's on you. You know how to go. on the firehouse
They're
and look at it.
behind 990s for 3 years.
Well,
And
they're
if
not
you look at
required
the
to do
prior
that to us.
3 years, they had a surplus income of about $750,000. That's why I started to bring up the 990s.
They're not required to do that.
That's not true.
They're not required to give us that information.
I'll be happy to give you the 990s next time. I see it.
All right, and that's in the borough code.
Highway. I'm looking at you. We all go. Highly.
Out of respect for your past position, I'll allow you to state your name, your address, and then I'll put your time.
Highly, 200 block of Walnut Street. I appreciate all that you all are doing as a council. I understand there are always growing pains. Funny thing is, straight out of grad school, I worked in an adolescent child and psychiatric unit with children who were that had severe mental illness. They were combative. They had a lot of trauma and stress. And I was a new graduate student, and I remarked on that compared to my time on council, that was actually easy. So I understand that there are some growing pains there. Please, y'all, just try to work together. I appreciate you all's transparency, but we are all residents of this borough, and we are all in this together, and we are all trying to make this place a better and safe place for not only ourselves, but you know, those coming before us. So I had a question about the website. And I looked at who you all had decided to vote on. It appears content and creativity, this business is based out of Israel?
No. Radnor.
No, it says on their website, Sarah lives in Tel Aviv, Israel.
That's the daughter. The mother lives over in Swaphmore, right? Swaphmore.
Okay, so it's a partnership.
It's a partnership, right?
So 50% is out of Israel. I think in full disclosure, we missed an opportunity. I feel like maybe we missed an opportunity, and my full disclosure is, Irons and the Fire is owned by my husband, but I think one thing to think about is that I would like to see the borough try to partner more and have contracts. I have not seen this borough have any contracts with any locally owned businesses out of Morton, nor have I seen us contract with any minority owned businesses. I feel like maybe we missed an opportunity because I know that he would have been able to be present to upload things in real time. But I do understand the bid process. I also understand that you all may have wanted to work with a company that offered a template as opposed to an original website that you all would have had. And my question with that is just something that Esther and I had talked about previously. I don't know if that company had provided you guys a website and a mock-up. Have they provided a website already? A mock-up? Have they provided a like a sample website to you?
So they
They have-
sat down with us. And
Okay.
went through everything that we'd be getting in or adding.
Okay.
Everything that we asked them of, yes.
The one thing I was typing up is I know that there are several members of our community who have some visual impairments, and just wanted to know what website or what program they use, so that those people who are visually impaired can access that information as well. So you all, I know you can't.
I don't
right
have
now
it, but she did name it
Yes.
and everything. They'll be using it,
With the.
because we explained what we needed.
Okay.
Or visually impaired and hearing impaired. So
Alright.
we want to make sure we were ready for the future.
And the other question was, how long is their contract?
How long is their contract?
Yeah.
What was it? Yeah, it's a year, right? A year contract.
We'll work backwards. So, similar to the borough manager, the contract is at will of council. It's that basically, by letter of either, you know, coming from content creativity or a letter coming from council, we can sever the agreement at any time.
Right, and she did state that.
The other selling point is that the website that they are going to produce is 100% accessible. And when I say accessible, that is both for hearing impaired as well as visually impaired. And there is also a sensory component for those that have like an autistic type of situation where they are sensitive to certain lights and certain colors. So that is another thing that's built into that website. And I think lastly is that kind of the deciding factor is because of the fact that they are with a template, but that template is owned by the municipality, whereas Irons on the Fire, that was a custom built website. So, you know, if we were to sever our relationship with that particular firm, basically that website is nothing but
Oh,
Yes, now.
paperweight. Not to say that we can't enjoy long relationships. I'm 55 and I'll be 65 in 10 years, and it would not hurt my feelings if I continue to serve this municipality into my Medicare days, so just a plug.
Hey, y'all would own that too, but yeah, just, some of them have the braille, don't they, the ones that have the braille.
She's done
And
it.
y'all-
Next.
Oh, that's good.
Next.
Calvinita,
Go ahead, bring me. Rick.
wanna go?
Chris Nelson, 1011 Keep the
Set the
Avenue.
timer.
I'm always nervous for speaking, so please forgive me. I'm asking for volunteers to help out with summer camp, summer jam. More summer jam. I'm inviting people of the community to bring games, sports games, if anybody wants to, participate, like do a basketball tournament there or basketball games for the children while the event is going, will be my guest. I would have sign up sheets real soon for those who want to participate that way. I'd like to ask permission from Borough Council to ask residents to help donate, to donate their time and also money to bring up, pay for the funds, pay for the us to have the funds. For our expenses, to have the stage and other things we need for summer jam. And I'm also asking council for chairs and tables for those who may need chairs and tables for the vendors. And I'd like to know, like, the next week with council in terms of Parks and Recs to discuss further information on what they want to do for summer camp, for summer jam. One of the things I keep saying summer camp is because I was part of summer camp as well. I like to help bring back more summer camp program. It was under the Parks and Recs committee, Parks and Recs situation. And I was actually part of summer camp from 06 to 2013. And I like to bring that back. And I think probably this year, I'll discuss with my committee to at least have a discussion to push that. Because we haven't had summer camp since 2013. I remember that I was part of the camp. So that's what I'm going to say.
Thank you.
Anybody invited to come out, form, or come out and volunteer efforts, just let me know. Just like I said, I have a signing sheet, and I'll also have the flyers coming up too.
Thank you.
July 18th.
Calvinita.
Hello, 200 block of Pennington. This is for Bill. What happened, Bill? Did you put the light up and fix the pole? Yeah, nah, I talked to him and he said he was gonna get Mr. Johnson to come look that Friday. I ain't seen nobody.
No, that's something that Charles Higgins should be doing. I asked Higgins to go around and fix all of the lights. They haven't fixed it yet. Okay,
And the pole is still leaning.
still can't do much with the pole because we don't own the pole. That's gonna be probably Pico.
Okay.
But they should have gone through because they come through at night. They basically look at all the lights. So I basically asked Higgins to go out and just do an inventory and fix whatever lights need to be fixed. So I'll get on the phone with them tomorrow and we can have them come out and take another look at it.
Okay, and that should be called a Pico, right? About the pole,
But the
right?
pole would be Pico, yes.
Thank you.
If we don't have anyone else, meeting adjourned. So moved.
Make a motion.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm like,
Thank you.
motion to adjourn.
So moves, there you go.
Meeting adjourned.
Shelley will always second.
Yeah. Ladies and gents, let's move forward. Can you two work in agreement?
I can.
I don't have an
Okay.
issue. I never did.
Mhm.